And there's no pressure on that, right? This is going to be the best one you've had? Good Lord, the best one. I'm Sal Ortiz. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you didn't drive like I did trying to get here. Um, I made it from the courthouse in Virginia Beach area to here in a little over an hour. So if there's any cops in the room, I'm sorry. But thank you for not stopping me. Um, I'm really, really excited to be here. We've been wanting to try to come up and do some talks here for a while. And I have a ridiculous amount of energy without much caffeine, and my dogs get me up at 3:30. So you guys are in trouble. It's really what it is going to be. Like, I'm kind of wired, and I didn't eat breakfast. And so all that to say, God knows what's going to happen today, but it will be an experience nonetheless. It is my hope that you will learn something from this. I am by no means a subject matter expert on it, but I know what I know. I've been through some things, and I'll just kind of share that with you. I'm very laid back. If you got to eat, if you got to talk with your mouth full, feel free to do that. Make me feel comfortable. Ask your whatever questions you want. I know the sound comes in and out. If you can't hear me, I am loud enough. I can be loud. I will tell you that most of the songs that we have, I like to, while I love hip hop and I grew up with hip hop, I know that hip hop has some stronger language. Most of the songs I have are clean, but I got to give you that kind of heads up, and I will point them out to you and say, ooh, this one's a little rough, just heads up. If you don't like, if your ears are going to bleed, cover your ears, that's fine. I won't be offended. I didn't write the song. I'm not making any money off of it. But just know, this is just, all of this is meant to be a resource to you. By the end of this presentation, you will have roughly 20 songs or so, and then some. There we go. Is that better? Cool. You'll have roughly 20 songs or so, and then some that you can use at your disposal. Like I said, they're not mine. I give all the credit to the artists who made them, but let's just see where we go. So please ask questions along the way. Do not feel worried about interrupting me or anything. We can roll with the punches. I've been doing this work now for almost 20 years, mainly substance abuse work. All focused in Virginia Beach area, but I've worked in Chesapeake, I've worked in Portsmouth. I've been around the block for a little while. And I tell my clients I've been from jail to probation to acute hospitals, personally and professionally. I don't know. But all that to say, I've been around and I've seen some things, and I've used this in a number of different settings. It's my hope that you can take some of this and use it in your setting, whether it's acute, community-based, or even more of a secure setting. So that's fine. I've been at Meridian now 7.5 years or so, and it's been a great place. We do, these are the shameless plug portions, but we do have a couple different things that we love to plug. We do a lot of Suboxone groups for folks that are medically assisted in treatment. We have a general sort of recovery group. Great clinicians like myself. They don't all look this good, but I'm sorry, they're working on it. But we've got some talent in the building there. We also have a group that's really exciting because it's a group for the supports and encouragers of people who are struggling with addiction. What we found was that the community didn't have a lot available to them. Yes, we have Al-Anon and Nar-Anon, but we wanted a group that was available to family members or neighbors or whoever who were not clients of ours. You don't even have to be a client of ours. Just come and learn from a licensed clinical social worker just the clinical side of how this affects you as a support, so you don't fall into that codependency sort of cycle that is addiction. So we have a lot of things. That group meets on Monday nights, first Monday of every month, 7:30 to 8:30. So this coming Monday, we'll be talking about medication-assisted treatment. We talk about a number of different things, again, focused on the support person of the addict. So if you have family members that are down around our way or just want to know more about clinical stuff, it's $25 for 2 people. So I'm not even trying to get rich off of it. I mean, it's absurdly cheap. I think Starbucks costs more than that for a venti, doesn't it? I don't know. Where are my addicts in the house? So it's just available. It's just something we do. My card is out there, and my information, my contact information is in the handouts as well. So if you got a question, give me a shout. Who can name, and now here's what I will tell you. I forgot the candy in my car to pay for the quiz that we're about to take. Who can name the first song I was playing while you were chilling? Who's the artist? My Ghetto Boy family in the house. Yes, Ghetto Boys from a nice 1980s sort of time. classic song that they used to say talked about, you know, kind of the intro of either whether it was addiction or schizophrenia and mental health, or was it addiction and kind of some of the substances he used. I don't know. But I wanted to start this ride. You know, oftentimes, this is an artist by the name of NF. This is one of his album covers from his album Therapy Session. But it was real cool because this is kind of what I look like in therapy. You know, we've got this laid-back sort of semi-wannabe professional, and then I got my clients who are like, why am I here? What are you about to tell me? Could this even be helpful? And so I just love that picture. But I want to just kind of take a second, gather ourselves, and just take a little different journey in terms of music and what music could do for us in therapy after this ad.
With a particular characteristic are the same.
Stereotype, an unfair and untrue belief that many people have about other people or things.
Stereotype, a standardized mental picture that is held in.
Pueden predecir el comportamiento de una persona basada en su raza o nivel social. Estereotipo.
Stereotype. Just because I'm 6'2", 260 pounds doesn't mean you're supposed to be afraid of me. I feel like when I walk into an elevator and there's like 4 or 5, different other people in there, they're thinking, to see what this guy's gonna do, let me like double check. Maybe they're not afraid, but they're on notice. In a way, it's like, where in one sense I wish that it didn't exist, and I wish that I didn't sense, that they were threatened just by my presence without even knowing who I am. Although I wish that it didn't exist, I'm kind of glad for it because now it gives me like a goal or gives me something to like try to debunk. And like the reason I smile on stage is because I know I'm completely crushing people's perceptions of not only what a violin can do or what music could possibly sound like, but also of what a black man is capable of.
A group by the name of Black Violin. You guys heard of them? Man, they're coming in concert. Norfolk, shameless plug. They should pay me for this one. End of March, I think March 29th or something like that. Man, they are ridiculous. And I stumbled across them because I like listening to a lot of different types of music. And this is a song called Stereotypes. And isn't it true about the stereotypes that we have? Let me adjust this mic. But they spoke right to it. I love crushing the stereotypes people have. And when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to substance abuse, when it comes to what we do, don't people hold a lot of stereotypes about what we're supposed to look like and how we're supposed to do this work? I had one supervisee when I was working at this one place, I stay undisclosed. I did a group for him, and he said, "You do everything wrong." And I said, what? I was like, first of all, you're pretty brave. But he said, everything they taught us in school to do, you don't do. And everything they told us not to do, you do. Everything. He said, you do everything wrong. And I said, well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. I want you to kind of look at using hip-hop, using whatever skills and talents you have, and break the molds. We got some work to do, and we got some people who are hurting. So I don't care what it takes. I'm going to help my clients. You may not like it. I had a client yesterday. I told him that. You may not like it, but I know I'm getting to the heart of what needs to happen, because when we look around, we see people dying from the substances or the mental illness that's going on, right? Or clients who are afraid to come to us because they can't find somebody that understands them or meet them where they are as we're taught. Too bad. I'm going to use what I can. So if you win this, I will give you a high five because I forgot the candy. Please charge my head, not my heart, as they say. I want to see what you know about hip-hop. And so let's see. Let's take this nice little quiz. What year did hip-hop hit the music scene with Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight? 79. Yes, 1979. Somebody spit the first few bars for me. To the hip, the hopper, you don't stop the rocket to the bang, bang, boogie, to up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. Man. Now what you hear is not, we can go. That song is like 38 minutes long. It's absurd. But it was so good in a lot of ways. So bad in a lot of ways, but so good. I'm proud of you for that. What are the 4 elements of hip hop? Ooh, I knew I'd catch you. This wasn't going to be completely easy. What do you think? Give me one. MCing. Oh, you cheaters. I knew we had cheaters in the house. Oh, resourceful. Is that what we tell them? Yeah, we're resourceful. MCing, DJing. Give me the other 2. Huh? Breakdancing and graffiti. Yep. There was a great DJ back in the day in the Tidewater area who talked about the 5th element of hip-hop as his radio show, and it was just so great. But there are 4 elements of hip-hop that just incorporate the culture that is hip-hop. It's not just about the music. It's not just about rhyming words, but it's the culture that is hip-hop music. And it's great to know that as a foundation. This is actually one of the tests that I give my daughters, because I told them, you need to know this or else you're kicked out of the family. So I quizzed them on this regularly. It's very true. We can call them now, and they'll say he's not lying. What borough claims to be the birthplace of hip-hop without being resourceful? The Bronx. Anybody say Queens instead? You better not. You will get kicked out of here. It was not Queens. It wasn't Queens. I'm saying Queensbridge, no. It was the Bronx. It was the Boogie Down, the BX. It's the Bronx. That's the only way to say it. There's a group that was known by this name. It had MC Ren, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre. Yeah, I won't ask you for the name. But you know what the name means, yes. NWA, great pioneer group. If you watched Straight Outta Compton, you saw some of that story. What Brooklyn MC is considered the greatest lyricist and storyteller of all time? Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as Biggie. There you go. Man, he painted some stories. He just told a story that you were like, wow, you could see it happening as it went on. Biggie is probably, man, I'm telling you, Rakim's got some competition, but Biggie is up there. Finish the lyric for me. Don't push me, cause I'm. Wait, let me hear this part. Yes. Now, name the group. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I showed this video to my clients, and I showed it to my daughter, and they're like, this was hip-hop? Like, the variety that is, the dress code and everything. But this is one of the foundational songs in hip-hop. The Message, Grandmaster Flash. Great, great song. Just talking about the ills that were going on in New York at that time. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live. Rap is just the rhyming words, right? You see a bumblebee on a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial doing that, right? That ain't hip-hop. Hip-hop is the culture. Hip-hop is what we live, right? And so there's so much, and hip-hop has morphed over this long time frame to be so much more than just kind of rhyming words or ghetto thinking or a certain dress code, but it's a culture, and I want you to know that. It's more than a passing fad. Hip-hop is 41 years old. I'm 42. I grew up on hip-hop. This is my life. I love hip-hop. I mean, this is as old as I am. This is crazy. You can hear it from China to Finland, from Nairobi to Sao Paulo. Like, this is all over. There's not a culture in the world that does not have a hip-hop element to it. I don't know that we could say that about every genre of music. I don't listen to a lot of them, but hip-hop is all over. In 2018, nearly a quarter of all music listened to was rap. That's 1 in 4 songs. I don't know what the other 3 were. 1 in 4 songs is rap. Honey Nut Cheerios. You've got Old Spice. You've got all commercials, right? If you want to catch it, you want to grab somebody, put it in a hip-hop tune. You want to mimic something, do it in a hip-hop sort of culture-ish sort of mentality. So it is more than just this sort of passing thing that they told me when I was growing up. Oh, this will be gone soon. This is not disco. This is for here to stay. Sorry, disco fans. Hip-hop was known as the voice of the street. This was an outlet. This was similar to what we know as old, Negro spirituals, slave spirituals, where they would just kind of talk about what's going on. You could literally take, nobody knows the trouble I've seen, right? You could take that and put that to a hip-hop beat, right? And now you got a hip-hop song. Like this was just a voice. This was an alternative voice. And for a long time, a lot of people didn't get it. They were like, well, they're saying something, but there were so many messages in the songs that just spoke to the truth of what was going on in our world. It tells a story about what's going on, the struggles, and it vents the frustrations that we know of. We know this poem? There was a rose that grew from concrete. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's laws wrong, it learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else even cared. When you look at your clients, and I want you to look at these, I'm giving you resources that I use because I want you to be able to look at your client who's struggling and says, man, I don't have a chance. Don't nobody care. There's no reason for me to succeed. You're right. You're that rose that grew from concrete. Who wrote this? Pac, right? And so you think of Tupac and you think Thug Nation, right? Thug life on your stomach. I didn't get it tattooed on mine. I'm not that thuggish, right? But Tupac had this depth to him that said, man, what is that? A rose that grew from concrete. And just the picture that you see in your head of a rose growing out of concrete is crazy. So these are things that we can talk to our clients directly about, regardless of the issues that they're facing, right? And so we oftentimes put hip-hop in this sort of category, says, that doesn't apply to anybody that I work with. Come on, man. Tell me one client you work with that doesn't need this, for whatever the issue is. Hip-hop is a nice form of poetic expression. It's artistic in all its 4 elements, and it takes art in all its forms. If you've ever seen Lil Wayne recently, that dude is weird, okay? And yet, he is part of hip-hop culture, right? And so it doesn't have to look like a certain set image, and it takes art in all its forms. You saw a song by Black Violin, 2 brothers who are playing violin to a hip-hop hard beat. That's crazy. And I have friends, I have a supervisee who has a daughter who plays classical music all over the world. And I introduced her to Black Violin. She's like, wow, never heard of these guys. Like, you could do this? Right? It transcends so many things, and it takes art in its purest form. It's a creative use of language, similes, metaphors, just wordplay, the double entendres, the things that we do with words to paint a picture that is insane. And it's often written in a 16-bar sort of format, 16 lines. But it can be written now in any sort of way. It doesn't always have to rhyme. And so I want you to kind of keep that backdrop of what hip-hop is as we go into some of the songs that we're going to listen to and see how you can then use this to start speaking specifically to some of the issues that you're facing, right? From substance abuse to depression and everything else. So this is a general one I like to use with a lot of my kids just in terms of talking about how they form their identity and what it's formed by. Let's check this out and see what you think, and we'll talk about it on the other end of how I do it with my clients.
Who loves me? Who cares for me? Oh, I wonder these questions as I sit and stare at reflections of all my imperfections. I'm glad you see beauty. You love me.
Funny how your past can affect your present. Futures being prepared by your adolescence. Time flies, can't get it back, that's a hard lesson. 16, don't know who we are, so you start guessing. A little her, a little him. A little them, now look at me. Well, I guess this who I will be then, be them. So we'll be friends, anything, so I'll be in. Outside of it all, outcries of the fall. Nothing to fill the hole, that's God's size in our hearts. That feeling, I just want to be accepted. You ever had that talk with your reflection like, I wish my frame was a little smaller. Wish my head wasn't so big. I wish my stomach, I could tuck it in. Yeah, I wish I was a little taller. I hate the man in the mirror, cause the man in the mirror just reminds me of myself. So I tell a man in the mirror, stay the man in the mirror, I don't wanna be myself.
Who loves me? Who cares for me? Oh, I wonder these questions as I sit and stare at reflections of all my imperfections. I'm glad you see beauty. You love me.
Often I wrestle with being myself. At the core, how he sees me, I don't see myself. Go ahead, tell me I made in my maker's image. My reply, wish my maker would've made me different. Ever wish you could Photoshop your life? Crop out the flaws, it's obvious, edit your lack of confidence. But life is never that easy, is it? Picture perfect is non-existent, nobody lives it. Yeah, but that don't stop us from dreaming, do it. A picture with a broken frame, it's hard to see me through it. When I was young, people's approval, I grab and embrace it. They just park in attendance. I needed validation, thirsty for affirmation, hungry for recognition. Never feel like enough, even after repentance. You're not alone if you don't see you as you should, but believe in what he said. He made us, and we good.
Picture painted on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all? What do you see when you see me? You see beauty, yeah. You see beauty, yeah. You see me. You love me. All I want is my true identity. Who loves me? Who cares for me? Oh, I wonder these questions as I sit and stare at reflections of all my imperfections. I'm glad you see beauty. You love me. All I want is my true identity. All I want is my true identity.
So I usually give the disclaimer that, you know, a lot of the songs I use have a you know, they're Christian-based sort of songs, and that's fine if you don't buy into that, but I think that the core message of a lot of songs is still key and critical. So I'm by no means, this is not my church sermon. You can come to that later, but this is more of just kind of being able to bring sort of a positive approach. I could use a lot of common songs that we hear day to day, but I want to give you a different library. I want to give you songs that you may or may not have heard in the past or may have never thought of thinking of. What do you think when you watch a video like this? What are your thoughts? Good, bad, or other is what I say. Very emotional? You found it almost sometimes, depending on where your own headspace is at, you're like, ooh, you're talking about me, you know? And so I think that's okay to share with clients. Like, we're people too. No, I'm not encouraging you to sit there and cry with them, saying, oh my God, he's talking about me, right? But they know that you're human too. They know I love this song too, right? How could you use this? Who do you see this using this with? As you're watching this song, and not just yourself and saying, I got to listen to this later, but did a client's picture or a face come to mind? Saying, yo, this person would be used. Tell me, who came to your mind? Huh? Your own children. Gotcha. What spoke out to you? Was there a line or something? You know, I love the wordplay when he said, we're just parking attendants. We need validation, right? And you're like, ooh, that's kind of creative, right? And so you see the wordplay. Was there a part in there that they need to hear? Into your clients or people that you know? That their strength?
Empowering. I mean, I work with probation population, so they're very disempowered. So that shows them they have the power to reframe.
Yep.
They have a way to look at the negative versus
Exactly.
the positive. So
It's the reframing part of it, exactly. Very good, I like that. What else? Anybody else? Resiliency, how so?
Well, with a positive reframe, getting back up when you're down.
It showed you that we're not denying that you had these things, right? You saw the one that said, a broken home or whatever, and then single parent loving mother, right? I mean, the truth is the truth. My clients are like, hey, am I crazy? I'm like, yeah, you are. But that's okay. You got to own what you have. You got to own. I told you, I do this weird. Do not refer to me. I'm very horrible. I will traumatize your people, right? But you want to be able to say, look, let's talk about it where it is. Like, yeah, you're damaged. You've had some hurts. You've made some mistakes. You screwed up. I'm going to own that. You got to own that. But then there's a building from that, right? There's a resiliency that says that you still kept pushing. You still came in. How many of you, like me, have asked your clients, why'd you come today? You have all these things going against you, and you still showed up on time. They're like, I don't know, I had to. No, you didn't, right? Kids or adults, no, you didn't. And so that shows a lot. And just being able to put that in music form so that they don't hear that keep coming from your mouth, now they hear somebody else saying it, say, maybe he's not just my clinician that thinks this. So why this music? Why hip-hop? 7th to 12th graders, 65% of 7th to 12th graders listen to hip-hop over any other form. I love music in general. But hip-hop, man, I'm telling you. Whew. When you're talking about, I have a 13 and a 10-year-old. My 13-year-old loves 21 Pilots, great band. She's a little rockhead, that's cool. But when she's with me, I'm like, look, we got to listen to some hip-hop. I need some of this in there. And there's also a hip-hop sort of component, too. All these different types of music that you see, there's always a sort of a hip-hop rhyming sort of element to it. Hip-hop is transcendent. It's what our kids are listening to. Total music album consumption in the United States in 2018 by genre, 21.7% is hip-hop. Right? That's almost a quarter of all album consumption in 2018 is hip-hop albums. Whenever you open up your iTunes and try to look at what's new, you're going to see hip-hop albums like every other one. And I'm not dissing all the other ones. Look, I love my Latin music. I'm Dominican. But there's also a hip-hop element to that because there's a hip-hop generation. Most popular musicians, this one was interesting. In 2017, streams in billions with a B. Right? Look at the top 4. Drake, who's not even an American, big up to the Canadians, right? But Drake, Future, Kendrick. And then you got Ed Sheeran, who's a bad man too. But 3 out of the top 4 were hip-hop artists. And then you look at the rest of the list. Migos, my own person. Sorry, I said that out loud. But still hip-hop. Weeknd, but he's still hip-hop. Bruno Mars, R&B sort of feel. Kodak Black, hip-hop. Lil Uzi Vert. First of all, anybody with Lil in front of their name, I'm just like, it drives me nuts. But Lil Uzi seemed to make the list for whatever reason, right? And then Rihanna. You've got hip-hop elements all throughout this, right? And so if we're denying that we could use hip-hop in some sort of way, you're literally cutting off the major part of your practice, a major part of your population. You may not like it. It may not be your music. It may not be your culture, but it's your client's culture. If you want to relate to them, throw a hip-hop song on. Ask them who's on their playlist right now. Who are they listening to in the car, in their earbuds on the way to the appointment because they didn't want to talk to their parents, right? I'm telling you. And you may not like the song, but you just want to find a way to connect, and that's what we do as clinicians. This is why we use hip-hop. This is why I felt this was so big. For all the academics in the room that need the stats and everything, this is for you. The next 30 slides is for you. But I know that we needed to find a reason for this other than I just like this stuff, right? Listening to music can reduce chronic pain, and we see all this, right? And this is a UK study. But music in general just has this sort of feel to it. You ever go get a massage and they're playing the music in the background? I went and got one the other day, and they had no music on. I was like, this is weird. I was more tense. It was really strange. Yeah. They bought me dinner later. We went on a date. It was really weird. No. But they turned it up. The minute they turned the music on, they're like, oh, we just weren't ready, and they turned it up. Right? There's sort of the relaxing component that comes to it. Music training has an even better effect on listening than just classical music, right? And being able to just learn music, learning to read music, learning to be involved with music when you're young, and just how you're developing other parts of you, right? Reading and literacy skills that are built up. Anything I ever wanted to learn going through school was put to a hip-hop song. Everything. I know every lyric from every song growing up. I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast last week. I couldn't tell you, well, my daughter always asked me, what did I weigh when I was born? I was like, I don't know, 8 something. Pick a number, it sounds average, it's pretty good. I could not tell you. You put on some classic hip hop and I could tell you every line. Put a Nas song on, forget it, I'm out, right? Spatial and temporal reasoning, mathematical abilities, right? If there's something difficult that you're struggling with, and being able to put your multiplication tables even to a hip-hop beat, right? Emotional intelligence and understanding the emotion that comes up when you hear a song. What does it pull through? You're like, whoa, I'm feeling something I never knew before, right? And just understanding where that's coming from. It affects all parts of the brain, and we'll see this again, but just to know that nobody denies that music has a powerful impact on the brain. Is there anybody that says this is a bunch of crap? No? Okay, just want to make sure, because there might be, right? You may not think music is that powerful. Why do we not incorporate it into our sessions? See, I wasn't taught at school that I can incorporate music into my sessions. You know, they tell you about an assessment, they tell you about a discharge, they tell you about a treatment plan, they tell you about the 50-minute hour. They tell you about all those things. They did not say you're allowed to use music. And so I was like, this is new. This is different. And it impacts so many parts of our lives. And it impacts the brain so hard. So increasing self-esteem, critical reasoning, language development. Ever try to come up with a rhyme? I had in my car, at the break, I'm going to give you some. We're going to see if we can do this. I don't know. We'll have to do this at 10 o'clock, so we'll get a break here in a couple minutes and see how you guys do. Because some of you guys may not be confident that you can rhyme. Music as a therapeutic tool is very interesting, too. It's increasing use in hospitals and the need for medication during childbirth, right? Decreases levels of stress-related hormone cortisol. Music just is found to do whatever it needs to for the client in whatever capacity it needs to. I used hip-hop artists' names to disguise my clients. But Diamond D is a client of mine. He's 17 years old and has had 3 home placements in 9 months. I think we're going on now. None of them with his own mom. Mom's a raging alcoholic who has a lot of medical issues. Dad lives in another state and traumatized the heck out of him growing up. He lived with a friend. He lived with an uncle who was smoking meth. And then now he lives with somebody else who's not even family, but they're technically kind of family. And this is all in 9 months. The only constant thing he's had in 9 months is me. That's the only thing. And I told him, you're not leaving me. I don't care where you go, you're not leaving me. And so I give my clients my cell number. All my clients have it. They know not to abuse it, and I have a good rapport with them. And so he'll text me like, bro, I got court tomorrow. Hit me with a song right quick. Right? Yo, they're stressing me out over here. And I don't know what to do about it. I'll hit him with another song. And then he sends me ones every now and then. And so I'm walking the dogs the other night. He sent me a song. I was like, man, that was He's like, man, whatever. And so you have this dialogue that exists because if you're the only constant and healthy thing that's in your clients' lives, why not use that as the bridge? I'm not doing therapy with them. I'm not telling them, now listen, remember your coping skills. I'm not doing all that. I'm not trying to get myself in trouble. But he does know that music plays a part in that, and it relaxes him. And he has a playlist that he's developed, that he and I have developed. And he's like, yo, thank you for that one. That was perfect. Man, that one didn't do it. I need one that's a little more upbeat. Man, I need to calm down and do this. And we have this sort of language, this sort of dance that develops from music, just from hip-hop. This kid is 17 from, I don't know, like Alabama or some whitest white kid in the world, like with the southern drawl of all draws. And we love the same music. And I'm like, dude, how is this even possible? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's crazy. I'm a 42-year-old Dominican bald-headed dude, right? And this kid and me connect on a deeper level that I know he can have with other clients or clinicians if they went there. I'm willing to go there. Are you? Psychiatrist Dr. Akeem Sewell and clinical neuroscientist came up from Cambridge, right? So there was a Cambridge study in 2014 that talked about hip-hop and therapy and the mix of the two. I encourage you to just explore and do the research on it. But the main thing to kind of pull from it that I want to do just for time's sake was to be able to talk about how, according to this research, large part of the potential for rap and hip hop to function as a therapeutic instrument was related to the lyrics. Finish the lyrics, started from the bottom. Just want to make sure y'all knew where you were. We were here now. But we have such a problem with the lyrics, right? What is our issue with hip hop? Please talk to me for a second. Let's just dialogue and chop it up for a minute. What is our problem with hip hop? The perception? How so? Mm-hmm. And so if we were to say we're going to introduce this into therapy, are we trying to encourage the aggression or what? Yeah. What else? You said derogatory? Yeah. Towards who? I thought you meant like men. Like, no, I'm just joking. But yes, a lot of the misogynistic messages that you do hear, it does exist. So my challenge to that is this, right? And there's a lot of current I hate current hip hop, I will tell you. But if I don't use what I have, right? I love hip hop as a culture and I love hip hop as a music. And if I know the message is there, why not try to counteract it with every one of them that they give you with this? Yo, you should get high before you, right? Lil Wayne in the beginning of every song smokes a blunt. It's literally, that's the first thing you hear. And for every one of his songs, I'll give you somebody who doesn't do it and has better skills than that, right? And so we can meet you where you are, but it is misogynistic. It is derogatory. What else is our issue with it? Vulgarity, the language is absurd. If you could understand it in the first place, the one word you did understand was the F-bomb and many variations of it, true? Now I have to admit to you, I don't have to, but I guess I told you guys I don't have a lot of sleep. I do love the F-bomb. I think it's a great word. But it does get in the way of a lot of the work we're trying to do or the message we're trying to relay. And we're like, can you hear the core of the song without such vulgarity? So the challenge is to find songs that doesn't have the vulgarity and still brings the intensity, right? It exists, and that's why I wanted to do this, was to be able to show you it exists. It's a very, very necessary therapeutic tool to be able to just say a line. You know, I'm not a Drake fan, but I started from the bottom, now I'm here. You know how excited I was to come here this morning? Yo, I was floating getting here. Been waiting for this call. Because my whole career has been, you do this wrong. You're not gonna make it anyway. I had one person tell me, you can't lead people. You are not a good supervisor. They will never learn from you. And I got supervisees have all passed their license exam. I've got kids that I can call right now and be like, yo, that dude saved my life. And I get to be here with you guys, my peers, right? Yeah, I get paid for this. This is exciting. Like, I wanted this. Started from the bottom. I started my career somewhere, right? So I may not be a Drake fan, but that line speaks truth to me. So you want to find the elements of truth through all these sort of negative messages and things that we're finding. There is something like that. And isn't that what we do with our clients? We hear this mess of a story they give us, and we try to pull these elements that give them hope. And that's exactly what we're doing with this. So listening to music affects all parts of the brain. The frontal lobe is responsible for motor function and planning. I know you do not run to Enya. Anybody run to Enya? No. Run to Metallica maybe, but you're not going to run to something that's very soft, right? That motor function, the parietal lobe for spatial navigation and language processing, trying to understand what they're saying and listening to a song 2 or 3 times and saying, hey, did you catch that line? Ooh, I never caught that the first time, right? And being able to process what's going on there in a hip-hop song. The temporal lobe with language comprehension and emotional association and words that popped out, even from that one song we heard, to say, ooh, that hit me. That hit my kids, and I didn't even think it was going to hit them, right? And the emotion that comes up. And then the visual processing that comes in watching a video and watching somebody that looks like you maybe or talks like you or went through some of the things you did and seeing how they did it and just understanding the videos. There are some effects of music on the brain waves, right? And it's shown to stimulate brain waves to resonate in sync with the beat, faster beats, right? So almost like, anybody EMDR trained? EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, works on trauma. And so, long story short of it, you use this weird finger motion to kind of get both sides of your brain working to work and process through certain traumatic events. You could also use sounds, right? And so dots or beeps in your ear. The faster the beeps, the more intense the trauma that you're talking about. But when we're trying to close out a session, we slow down the beeps. And it's interesting because it's just a beep. It's just the way your finger moves back and forth to hit both sides of your brain. And what we're saying here is that brain waves, even with a strong beat and in sync with it, you can literally get your clients to get moving and talk about something or slow them down if they're getting too intense just by the song you pick. You ever find a session that's going way intense and you're like, dude, I got 7 minutes. I am not going to be able to wrap this one up. And you tell them, yo, Johnny, hold on a second. I got a song for you right quick. We're allowed to do that and slow it down a minute. So recognize where they are and then slow it down and say, hey, let me take you here. Right? So use this to your advantage. But we understand that this impacts the brain on many levels. The autonomic nervous system can be altered. Right? And we talk about the relaxation response that we talked about earlier. Music therapy can help to counteract and prevent damaging effects of chronic stress. And then other benefits, found to bring many other benefits such as lowering blood pressure or the risk of stroke. Have you been using music in your practices now? Yes and no. Why, how do you use it for the yeses and why the no's? So be thinking about that. Why yes or how yes?
When they come in, there's a feeling that I want people to have. So I have music in the lobby. But it's my Jill Scott kind of thing. So I want that vibe and I want them to feel it. So set the tone.
Okay. Cool.
And then I got the Google Voice. That's the best thing because you can, if you need a song, you just ask it and it pops up during the session.
I like that.
I do therapeutic treatment in a high school. So, I mean, my clients, they're not traditional clients. And I have bean bags, so they're more so doing the session on the bean bags. And so I kind of play like a lo-fi kind of vibe, and they actually start talking more, and it's like a kind of relaxing atmosphere.
Yeah, cool. Yes?
I do, I'm an addiction therapist, so I do groups, and I do my substance abuse groups, and so what I do every now and then is I bring in adult coloring, and we do adult coloring, and I play music while they're doing their adult coloring.
It'd be fun to do that and see, depending on the tempo that you play, kind of in the images, or how fast they're finishing it, or kind of are they able to finish it, and just watching their response. It's fun watching you guys' response as you're watching and listening to a song. Depending on the songs I'm going to play through here, we're going to listen like 4 or 5 more, and just watching your response. What gets in the way? You say you don't use it much, or?
I think it's more the facility that I work at. It just hasn't been something that's come up. I'm at a military facility, and they do, when they do their art therapy, the art therapist has music playing, and all of our patients seem to like it, but in our individual therapy sessions and our groups, music is not typically something that we use.
And it's crazy. I worked at Chesapeake Jail, Portsmouth Jail, Hampton Roads Regional, and I never thought I'd be the guy that was smuggling stuff in. I did. I ain't lying. It wasn't drugs. It wasn't contraband. You ain't going to get me locked up. But I did have a little Bluetooth speaker that was tucked somewhere, just that was somewhere else. Because the need for music, and to be able to take a room full of 80 people who are aggressive or have gone through some things and be able to kind of soothe the mood, the facility sometimes limits you from being able to, right? Your office space, your office suite mates. Hey, can you turn that down? I hear that probably 4 times a week, right? But you have to kind of play with where you are and try to figure out, how do we do this? And there's other ways. We'll talk about other ways to introduce it, even if you can't play a song out loud. But we find that there's limitations to it. Please don't do this. Please do not be that doctor. Your El Bizzle is kazizzled. Snoop will come and slap you himself, okay? Please do not do that. But that does look like some of our clients, I ain't gonna lie. So don't be that guy. And if you are, stop, okay? So what can hip hop say for me? It provides a voice to the difficult life issues that are faced by many. Now, we talked about the culture and the history of hip hop and coming from the streets and from an urban environment, but we know that our clients go through so much and they need a voice. So help them to tell a story of where they were, where they are now, and where they want to go. And that's one of the key things in terms of using music. I challenge all my clients to develop playlists, and we do it in the office. 2 songs about where you were. Identify that you are screwed up. You are crazy. Yes. Those voices in your head are not real. Yes. Let's find a couple songs that talk about that. This is where Ghetto Boys, all of a sudden, you're like, whoa, Ghetto Boys is in my session? This is crazy. But my mind is playing tricks on me. Okay, you can use that. Where were you? Where are you, right? And then what is this sort of transition? Because we find as we're working with clients that they want to buy into what we're saying, but they have this struggle, right? And substance abuse is really key. I got this old life, and then I got this clean life. And this clean life looks so boring and whack, and I don't want to do this no more. I like the hustle of this. And so you have this sort of transitionary sort of moment that we have with all clients. So identify a song that does that, that talks about the two. You need somebody to reference? DMX is crazy. But DMX is one of the best lyricists of all time. And he says, Lord, give me a sign, and then I eat your young. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about, DMX? Right? It's crazy. But so you have both, and so this does exist. So find 2 songs that do that. And then 2 songs about where you want to go. This is the treatment planning, right? This is the goal setting. What do you want to be? What do you see? I see beauty, like that other song played, right? And I want you to be able to kind of then lay out this sort of journey, because when they're not with us, they can put this on and say, okay, I'm okay with this and I can go somewhere. We never want to just leave them in a broken place. This is what the trouble is with using hip hop and just saying, hey, just find a song, because we'll find songs to encourage our twisted thinking all the time. Biggie has a song called Suicidal Thoughts. Anybody know it? Great song, 1994 album, Ready to Die. When I die, F it, I want to go to hell, because I'm a piece of, it ain't hard to tell, right? That's a tough song. You put that in on the session and you're going to kill yourself with your client. Like, this is crazy. It's bad. But it's very real. How do you go from that to taking Biggie and saying, unbelievable, right? It was all a dream. I grew up listening, right, with hip-hop magazines, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in my living room, right? And you paint this picture of where you want to be. So they both exist. But we want to take our clients on a journey. Use hip-hop to do that. Our goal is to utilize a form of music to provide a client with a positive voice, rather than just feeding the negativity. And we know that issues our clients face are all in there. We just got to get them out. And so we're going to go through different ones that you'll probably use your resourcefulness to look through and see all the different issues we were going to face. But I'm going to hit a lot of different topics and songs that go with that to be able to paint a picture. But I wanted to take this song, NF. I love NF because, number one, he's from Michigan, and as skinny, tiny white boy as can be. His name is Nate Feinstein, which is a great rap name. Yo, coming to the stage, Nate Feinstein. So he went by NF. But you can't get any more real than Nate Feinstein here. And so I want you to just kind of see this picture that he paints. This is off his album Therapy Session, and we'll process the song, after this commercial break as well.
Yeah, I got upstate like a month ago. I was talking to fans and one of them pulled me aside and said we never met, but I swear that you know who I am. I've been through a lot. I don't know how to express it to people. Don't think that I can, but I got that Mansion CD on rotation. That's real for me, Nate. You do not understand. It's crazy for me. Kids see me up city slitting they wrists on the daily. This music is more than you think. Don't book me for just entertainment. It's entertaining. Hearing these parents, they telling their kids my music is violent. You gotta be kidding me. I guess that your definition of violence in mine is something that we look at differently. How do you picture me? Want me to smile? You want me to laugh? You want me to walk in the stage with a smile on my face when I'm mad and put on a mask? For real though, I mean, what you expect from me? I'm trying to do this respectfully. They say that life is a race. I knew my problems would probably catch up eventually. I do my best to be calm. How you gon' write me and tell me you slaughter my family? That's just a glimpse of the stuff that gets said to me. These are the parts of my life they don't never see. Woo! I am aware it's aggressive. I am not here for acceptance. I don't know what you expected, but what you expect when you walk in a therapy session. Therapy session. Therapy session. This girl at the show looked me in the face and told me her life's full of drama. Said her dad is abusive, apparently he likes to beat on her mama. I got so angry inside, I wanted to tell her to give me his number. But what you gonna do with it, right? You gonna hit him up, then they'll start hitting her harder, that's real. These kids, they come to my shows with tears in their eyes. Imagine someone looking at you and saying your music's the reason that they're alive. Sometimes I don't know how to handle it. This type of life isn't glamorous. This ain't an act for the cameras. You see me walk on these stages, but have no idea what I'm dealing with after. And I put it all in the open. This is the way that I cope with all my emotion. I'm taking pictures with thousands thousands of people, but honestly, I feel like nobody knows me. I'm trying to deal with the pressure. I'm trying to deal with the pressure. How you gonna tell me my music does not have a message when I'm looking out at this crowd full of people I know are affected? I got some things in my life I know I should let them go. Let me jot it down. Let me take a mental note. I'll put it all on this microphone. Think about that for a minute. What is the point of this song I'm just venting? But what you expect from a therapy session? Therapy session. About me, that doesn't worry me. I know I handle some things immaturely. I know that I need to grow in maturity. I ain't gonna walk on these stages in front of these people and act like I live my life perfectly. That doesn't work for me. Christian is not the definition of what perfect means. Woo! I ain't the type to be quiet. I ain't gonna sit here in silence if I wouldn't say what I say to your face. And I promise you I wouldn't say it in private. I am not lying. People go off on my page and I'm trying to quit the replying, but this is ridiculous. I'm passionate, man. I really mean what I'm writing. Yeah, I need to keep it 100. Okay, I'll keep it 100. I see a whole lot of talking on socials, but honestly, I don't see nothing in public. I kinda love it, yeah. Why don't you write us some happy raps? That would be awesome. All of your music is moody and dark, nay. Don't get me started. You wanna know what it's like if you met me in person? Listen to my verses. This music is not just for people who sit in the pews and pray at the churches. Nah, I've been rejected. I don't expect everyone to respect it. I don't expect you to get my perspective, but what you expect from a therapy session?
I mean, I think sometimes people, they confuse what I'm doing. I write about life, I write about things that I'm actually dealing with. Something that I'm actually experiencing. This is real for me. Like, this is something that personally helps me as well. I'm not confused about who gave me the gift. God gave me the gift and he gave me the ability to do this, and he also gave me this as an outlet. And that's what music is for me. When I feel something, whether it's anger, it's a passion about something, a frustration, like, this is where I go. That's the whole NF Real Music thing, man. This is real for me. I need this. This is a therapy for me.
What are your thoughts? Good, bad, or other? Yeah.
I actually had a client bring this artist to my attention in session one day, and we listened to a couple of songs during that time, and that really opened up like another Pandora box of what was going on, because it seemed like it was more relatable to him.
Yep.
So I thought that was awesome, and then we kind of piggybacked off of that each session and kind of talked about things, and then actually he came in and he wrote a rap, so we were able to talk about that as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
That's awesome. NF is probably one of the best therapeutic tools you could listen to, because the dude is as real as you get. And there's not a cuss in any one of his songs, but you can't get any more real than that. Want to know what I'm like in person? Listen to my verses, right? Isn't that funny, right? We have this client that just can't talk, and we're like, hey, let me know if this just says a part of what you are thinking. Yep. What else? Thoughts?
Is this a good time for you to?
Yep, let me just get two more questions and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay. I want to make an announcement before everybody stands up.
Okay. Thoughts, good, bad, or other? Very passionate. You felt it, right? I mean, it was intense. You were like, the kid, if you couldn't see it because it was kind of dark, you know, he had a teenage kid there cutting. How many of us deal with cutters and self-mutilation? Right? Real verses, right? I want to do something, I want to step in, right? If we deal with domestic violence, and he talked about there, and I want to step in, but I can't because you're just going to get your butt beat worse, right? So there was a lot of passion. Is this useful to you? Yes. Instantly, again, you kind of see a client, you're like, yo, you may need to listen to this. Let me just tell me if this speaks at least a part of what you were going through. And that's all we need, right? Our clients, a lot of our clients, especially my substance abuse clients, right? They're looking for a reason to not listen to me. How many of my clients come in and be like, man, you ain't never been high, you don't know. Really? I don't know? Let me show you something. They're like, damn, dude, where you find this? Why are you listening to this? Because this is my heart. Like, this is what I know. Now we connected on a level that you didn't expect, right? And so there's so many uses to this. But I want it to be a voice. I want it to be an outlet. I want it to be a means to be able to start the therapeutic process in a session and take it somewhere you're like, yo, I would have never thought I was going here. And here I am going down this path that I never would have wanted to even go on. I hate hip-hop, but, man. Any other thoughts on that?
It started me thinking because as a older woman with children, you tend to, when you're kids, you want to focus them on something when you got this music in your ears, and you tend to say, okay, get that out your ear for a second and listen to me. And it makes you want, you think about it and you say, well, maybe I need to stop and I need to say, well, what are you listening to? And look at what they're listening to get an idea where they're at.
Just drop the mic here. We're done. This session is over. Because that's exactly it. How many times have we found it hard to connect to our kids? I hate earbuds in the car. My daughter hates that rule. I'm like, if you put that earbud in your ear, God help you, I'm going to throw it out the window, right? But then what are you listening to, and what is it saying? Hey, can you play it in the car for me? Let's just not even talk. Don't talk to me right now, Daddy. She's going through puberty. God help her. She's still alive, barely. So we don't speak. We just talk in music, and we play song for song. This is where she's at, and then I'm going to play the Don't Push Me because I'm close to the edge, right? And we go back and forth on this sort of dialogue. But at least we know where they are. So true. It was intense, you said.
Intense. It shared a lot of emotions, went up, down, deep. Just shared a lot of different types of feelings. I mean, it's relatable to all, so that's what I found.
So when you have that client in your office that says there's all this apathy, there's no emotion, there's nothing, but all they feel is anger, and you're watching their reaction to this song, and they're like, and you find themselves sort of subconscious, just nodding their head. They didn't even know they were doing that. And you're like, oh, really? They don't show emotion? I beg to differ. Maybe that assessment wasn't very accurate because maybe you just weren't speaking in a language that they could get, that they can show the emotion. See, they come into our offices thinking they're supposed to keep it together. My office is a hot mess, kind of like my car and my life. And that's okay because they think that they have to have it all together and kind of just present. I mean, this is just human nature. Put our best foot forward sort of thing. Just come real. Just bring your mess and let's just go through this crap one piece by piece and let's just be real about where we're at. But they kind of look at our environment sometimes saying, I can't do that. So when they see, I got this big cardboard boombox I made. It looks like a real 80s, Public Enemy sort of boombox. And they're like, yo, you use that? I'm like, yeah, you better believe I use that. And they're like, this guy's a little bit, okay. And then you see the edge kind of come off a little bit. Next thing you know, they're talking about something that's real intense. You're like, whew. I didn't see that one coming on the assessment stage. But you give them the opportunity to just be real and be passionate. It's funny because I'm going to talk about something else passionate in a little bit when I talk about one of my other clients. But you see how this is now forming and how we're drawing this sort of idea of what to do. After our break, we're going to go through topic by topic and just kind of look at some statistics for it and look at some songs that maybe you can use. There's other songs there. I wish I could play the entire thing in music, but I think that then I'd have to pay royalties or something. I didn't write it. So we'll talk through it and tell me what you like and don't like. Because I'll tell you, this is a challenge for me as well to be able to hear how I can use this better. I'm changing this as I go, and I want to know how I can be more effective. And this is what we are. This is a meeting of the minds to be able to say, hey, don't do that. That's probably not helpful, but try this, or have you ever thought of? I'm open to it. I do not know it all. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I definitely am not. He is. No. But let's get together and let's be the smartest people together, and let's work through this together. So before you leave.
For those of you that don't know, the Farley Center works with addiction and substance use, and we definitely have some openings for some of our IOPs that are in the area. Virginia Beach, namely, but the IOP coordinator and the director is right here, and they can kind of give you a little bit of help if you've got questions about that, or if you know of somebody that might be interested. So, we've got IOPs in Virginia Beach and Hampton and let's see, not just me.
Everywhere from Virginia Beach all the way up to Alexandria.
Okay, and Richmond too. Yes. Okay, thank you. You got about 5 or 10 minutes.
All right. We're going to get rolling if that's okay, guys. I don't want to run out of time. And I don't want to shortchange the people I owe candy to. I'm sorry. I got Reese's Cups with Reese's Pieces, and I got a York Peppermint Patty. So if you answered one of the questions right and you're honest, not one of those resourceful people. I found out she's an LPC, though, so that makes sense. It makes sense why they cheat. Oh, whoa, whoa. My wife's an LPC, and I hold it against her. I hold it against her, too. I really do. Did you get a question right, or if anybody wants one? Who got one of the questions right? I can't remember. You got one. Reese's Cup or York Patty. That's all I had. You're welcome. Anybody else who got one of the questions right? She just wants to eat yours. Oh, she said, ooh, I don't want one. I don't, ooh. You're welcome. Anybody else? Anybody want candy? Anybody need candy in their lives? It's coming from the diabetic in the house. Here you go. Anybody else? Candy everywhere. All right, pass it along to somebody else if they want some. They got 3 left there. All right, I handed out a couple pieces of paper for a couple people. I want to hold on to that for a second, and I will collect it towards the end. You'll see where we're going with this in a little while. But let's get into some specific topics, if you will, and look at some music and look at it through the eyes of hip hop. Any questions on the first half of that presentation? Any thoughts going up before we keep going? Anything? All right. Hey, ladies, I didn't mean to forget y'all. All right, let's look at depression. Major depressive disorder, leading cause of disability for ages 15 to 44. This is an interesting one because depression is hard, right? MDD affects 16.1 million Americans. Almost 75% of people with mental disorders remain untreated in developing countries. And so we look at depression as one of the key things that we're looking at, and we look at some of the songs that we have here. And I didn't print these out for you, but I want to just tell you about a couple. NF, you're going to see a lot of NF references because I'm a fan, I'm a groupie. But this song, And I Hate Myself, is really interesting because it has this up-tempo beat, but he's talking about his suicidal thinking. And so it's this sort of, I hate myself. It's kind of hard when I hate myself. It's kind of what he keeps repeating. It's kind of hard for me to kind of do all these things when I hate myself. And we find our clients seeing that all the time, right? And we find with Social Club and KJ52 there, this Island of the Misfit Toys, it's similar to that Identity song that you had, where it's just talking about how I feel like such a misfit, such an outcast, mainly because of my depression, because I get bullied for that. Maybe we find this even in ourselves as clinicians, but we wrestle with this sort of identity and the difficulty to stay positive when there's nothing to be positive about. Now or Never is really a good song by The Roots, just to give you a secular song. Roots and Black Thought are just great lyricists, but just a song, again, to just talk about how to get up and get moving through that struggle. And so we find depression as a key element and one of the most major issues that we face, you know, dare I say even co-occurring-wise in everything that we deal with. With anxiety, it's the most common mental illness. 18.1% of the population every year. Anxiety disorders are highly treatable, yet only 36.9% of those who suffer get treatment. And I took anxiety for granted until I started doing this more and more and just started getting older and more mature and wiser in my years. But anxiety affects so many people, so many different levels, right? Not just the PTSD portion, not just the generalized, but just this sort of uneasy tone that kind of comes through. And it's looked at as such a weakness, especially with males, especially with black males. If you work with the military, if you work in jails, don't work in probation and tell somebody they're anxious. Man, I ain't scared, right? I ain't never scared. Right? Play me that song. I ain't never scared. But there is this sort of uneasiness that exists. Joel Ortiz is one of the greatest lyricists, I think, right now. Currently, I'm a fan. He grew up in New York and has a song talking about his panic attacks and his anxiety. And when you find Joel Ortiz, who was a member of a group called Slaughterhouse, a collection of rappers under Eminem, right? And you have this sort of real legit street dude that's talking about his anxiety and paints this picture, this accurate picture of what it looks like. And you're like, man, if he could do it. Again, seeing your clients in one of these images and playing the video and saying, hey, you know this dude, and you at least know he's talking truth, right? And then the one on the bottom there you can't see, B. Mike. This is an interesting song called Anxiety. I think it's more so depression, but he names it anxiety. I don't know. I'm not B. Mike's manager. But he talks about the need for his perks, the need for the medication to just take this uneasiness away. And so, again, you find this co-occurring sort of thing that exists. And there's also, in this song, I wanted to play, there's some stronger language in it, but it's interesting because he has the setting of the song is in the therapist's office. And the therapist is doing the stereotypical thing that therapists do, right? So how does that make you feel? And you're like, come on, man. We don't do that no more. You ain't laying down, right? But she keeps asking him, so how does that make you feel? And we see, the need for something like that. But he's on edge, and he's like, look, just give me something to get this away. And he's like, and then one point in the song, he's talking about how this therapist really don't care, right? And she don't care. You don't really care about where I'm at. You keep asking how this makes me feel so you can make more money. You don't really care about my real needs. And how many times have we heard that? So just sometimes with my clients who tell me I'm in it just for the money, or I don't really care about their issues regardless, or, you only let me go for an hour as is, I just play the song and be like, yo, so now tell me something. Drug use in general, there's so many songs we can use. Yes, drug use is predominant in hip-hop culture and hip-hop music. But how do we find it in a positive light? How do we sort of do this in a way that allows folks to really understand that there's a positive way to use substance abuse treatment? That song by Hobson's crazy, I will tell you. He's mentally ill. There's something wrong with that dude. But he's got a song. He's got Ill Mind of Hobson. 5 is really good, and the video is very strong. But he's talking to kids about this sort of, why they use and why they do what they do, trying to fit into this sort of social setting, right? And how they're really just burning out their brains. Macklemore's Drug Dealer, talking about Big Pharma, is a heavy song and very accurate. And I'm not even a Macklemore fan, but I'm like, ooh, somebody who went at Big Pharma, right, with a rap song. And then you have Belief. Belief is an interesting song. I'm going to play this one. I don't think I had the link set to this. So we're going to listen to this song on a little speaker, but it should be loud enough. You've got the lyrics there. It's got like 5 different MCs, and it's talking about drug use, but it's talking about addiction in general and different issues that you face. And so it's not just drug use, but I want you to see the complexity of issues and difficulties and how you can use one song to kind of capture all of that. So check out Belief, and let's see what this song says.
I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it, my God help me get through it. See what had happened was, yeah, it was me and my guys riding through the streets and we trying to collide with some bad girls like Mary Jane. See Mary Jane, she was very strange, she had orange hair and she stink, but I kept her around because she helped me think, she helped me think about, I forgot. She helped me sink into a low, and she started taking all of my dough, and I never been high before. All I knew was that I wanted it some more. I'm just happy that I wasn't addicted. I was addicted. How did I miss this? How do I fix this?
I do it cause I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed cause I do it, my God will help me get through it. See what happened was, this rapper buzzed, to mock me with his cocky laughter. Trust a rocky, wanna scrap with a Drago punch, I'ma sock him till his knees hurt. And his teeth squirt on his t-shirt. What he had for lunch, I need work, let me add this up. Now he bragged a bunch, so I bragged a bunch. Mad at him cause I had what he had at once. Spat at him and backstabbed him, but in fact it was sad when he was acting like I had way back when. Madman being mad at men, no friends, just advertising and posting up. And billing boards, ain't growing up, just killing boys. I throw this one up through the ceiling walls cause I trust you know what I'm feeling. Lord.
I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed, I'm depressed cause I do it, my God help me get through it. See what had happened, cause he put me in his mattress, wanted me to be an actress, wanted me to mask it, wanted me to be a bad, to the mask was attractive, to the masses, not the mask too fashion, me, who's a masked up, matter of fact could it be, not me or the people is peeping, the DC's pieces of me that I see. I was addicted to attention, I was afflicted with this image, I was a tent that wanted mentions, when I ain't get it I was offended,
I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed. I'm depressed cause I do it cause I'm depressed. I'm depressed cause I do it, my God, help me get through it. See what had happened was, hey, we were supposed to be together, let us see and get the D together, drop the E together, skip class and a couple letters, come back and get high, Jay. It's you and me forever. Depressing is the peer pressure from your own reflection. Argue in the mirror will look clearer, minus these lines of snow. I know it's coke and it all reflects me. I'm supposed to be the soft gang with Pepsi, continue to be, let's see where it gets me. I only did it twice and it's only cause the homie like first time. You ain't do it right, 33rd try. Heavily methamphetamine, blowing those lines, my nose is on fire. The high ain't really lasting, I crash quick fast like the drive-through food that goes with those fries. Now I'm smoking on this glass, my clothes is gone. I do it cause I'm depressed. I'm depressed cause I do it. I do it cause I'm depressed. I'm depressed cause I do it. I do it cause I'm depressed. I'm depressed cause I do it. My God will help me get through it. Yeah. Lie to me, make it sound good, baby, lie to me. No confidence in the guy to me. I beat myself up for all the things. Ask how I'm doing, well, it all depends. Count the days from when I last sinned. It's been a while, so I think I'm good. Yeah. I don't got a reason to lie to you. Like, yeah, I'm great, okay, that's the way. I know I'm lying while I'm such a fake, but I lie just to keep everyone away. And all the stupid things that they say, they try to fix me up like they know the way. I keep a smile still on my face, please go away. Now, don't go away.
I do it because I'm depressed, then I'm depressed, cause I don't know how not to do it. I do it because I'm depressed, and then I'm depressed, cause I don't know how not to do it. I do it because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed cause I do it. My God, help me get through it. See what had happened was, them internet girls had me in a net. The wide world is a web, spun to capture us in sex. I know I'm bugging out with the intellect, but my mind was infested with images I have invested, became so diminishing. I try to terminate the termites, so the tug of war and turn my thoughts into a turnpike. Tossing and turning in the middle of my nightmares, bed bugs bite. We're addicted to the feeling of concealing it is quite clear. Keeping these secrets will get me anywhere. How do you exterminate the things that you think that you like? I think that I thought I was alright until I write it down and I said it through the mic. Confess to the fam and I pray to the Christ. Now I ain't depressed no more. Done with a stressful show, I ain't depressed no more. Done with a stressful show.
So what are your thoughts? Good, bad, or other?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
There was a lot in there. Could be other. They rhymed pretty fast. In one verse, I was like, I don't even know what he's talking about. And that's fine. I'm there with you. That second verse, I have no idea what he's talking about. But you see the artistic wordplay. You see the journey through addiction, right? I wasn't addicted. I was addicted, right? But this theme that runs through some of what our clients say, right? When we're talking about their substance use, teenagers or adults, I do it because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed because I do it, right? And you have this sort of back and forth, this chicken or the egg sort of fight that we have in therapy all the time. How many songs can talk about that chicken or the egg sort of fight that we face, right? I do it because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed because I do it, right?
I was just curious, how did you find the song?
This is my ADHD kicks in, and I just start listening. I love music, and I want to always find something to say. I recognize that. And I do this very honestly. I know that I don't know all the sort of scholarly book stuff and whatever. I just want to find something real to talk to somebody to relate to. And I just sometimes can't find the words to say. And I know I can just kind of belabor a point, but it's not getting out what I want it to say. And I love music. And so I just go on this journey to intentionally look for songs that are clean, that are positive, that have a message. Some of them I stumbled on. Some of them are from my own just sort of, I bump this in my car all the time because I know that I need it myself too. I think if we're real true, I'll come back. If we're really, really, really honest with ourselves, we need this as much as our clients do. We're not allowed to say that. Don't let that leave this room. I know I'm breaking the rules again as clinicians, but listen, some of us are jacked up. And I think the reason I have the following that I do in terms of clients is because they recognize, dude, you're just as messed up as we are. And I need this in my life. And so why do I do certain things that I do? Because I'm depressed. And I'm depressed because I do it. And my God will help me get through it. And I walk through this sort of, and I live this. And so when my clients can see real in me, that's how I find it. They're like, dude, how did you find this? I'm like, dude, this is my collection. I can show you my playlist, and you'll be like, yep, he's got that in there. Yep, he's got that in there. So don't be afraid to tap into your own heart, into your own life, and your own reality.
Very comparative. Did a lot of metaphors, talked about relating to bed bug bites and other type of things. To me, he was comparing himself to things that are not human.
Yeah.
So it was relatable for me.
And even in the wordplay, right? You heard in that one verse, he went through the alphabet. Hey, we supposed to be together, do the D together, do E together, right? Like just go through every. I mean, I was like, yo, and I didn't catch that the first time. Then I was like, oh man, he just went through the alphabet. That's crazy. That's insane. There's another song I want to share with you. I'm going a little off script, but I think that it's worth it because it'll bring out the emotion of some of what we deal with. And you have this song listed in there. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I'm not going to cheat myself. Yeah, I think that if you see in your handouts, you have the song "How Could You Leave Us," and this one kind of talks more so from a drug abuse standpoint and a depression standpoint. And I want to just take a second and listen to this one. It's not a second, but I'll tell you. First time I heard this song, I cried my eyes out, and I was in the car on my way to the psych hospital. I was working there, and I'm sitting there puffy faced like. Yeah.
So I've tried to use music for group therapy and individual therapy. The challenge is, a lot of times they're not, like I might find this song and the lyrics relating to this client, but they're not interested in the lyrics.
They want
These
beat.
are my clients. They're looking for like a beat or who's popular right now. So when I try to match them according to who they're listening to and who's popular, the music today, they're not talking about anything that's productive. Or, I mean, I'm sure you can find something.
Yeah.
But majority of what they're listening to is.
Yeah, I had a client yesterday. Let me see. Sorry, now I'm really going script, but I think it's worth it. I had a client play for me a song yesterday, and I was like, I have no idea who this dude is. I have no idea what he's talking about. And I would never listen to him ever. Like, there was nothing positive about it. But he's like, hey, check out this guy. I listen to him all the time, and he just speaks so much truth to my life. And I said, all right, we can check it out. Where is the guy's name? All right, we have Triple Extension. We have him that we listen to all the time. Juice WRLD comes up a lot. YNW Melly has a song called Murder. This song, I mean, it creeped me out. I was like, man, what the hell is he talking about? Like, this, good God. Like, I couldn't pull any therapeutic value out of this song. I was like, dude, I can't tell you nothing about this. So part of it is the honesty. Dude, I have no idea where you're going with this. And so being able to kind of acknowledge that, and then I see where your head's at. I acknowledge where your head's at. Here's where I want you to be. That says something equally too. So you may not like it, and they may not even admit it in group. Definitely, if you're working with teenagers, they're not going to say, yo, they downloaded this song, because they don't want to look soft and say, like, they gave into the therapeutic process. But I know I gave you something that's a banger compared to what you gave me. And YNW Melly is not going to be part of my regular playlist ever in my life. This dude's got 323 million views. It's absurd how many he's got. This guy is horrible. I'm sorry, YNW Melly and your publicist. But at least meeting him there and say, hey, thank you for sharing it. I think that's one way that we can use this. Hey, you let me into your world and what you listen to regularly. Part of the other discussion is, so what is your thinking process? When does this song come up regularly? Well, it's just on my playlist. Well, do you find yourself whistling to it and listening or repeating it kind of through the day, right? What does it do when you're really angry? I know you don't want to murder anybody. I know you didn't want to see somebody die in your arms like he did in the video, right? But let's be real. This is the message you're taking in on a regular basis. What if I change that just a little bit? Right? And at the very least, my ace in the hole is, listen, your parents hate what you listen to, and you got to give them something. You got to make progress somewhere. So why not try this one when they're around at least? Exactly. And I now fully acknowledge I'm a 42-year-old man that loves old school hip-hop, and they don't even know what old school hip-hop is. And so we look at where we are and say, let's try to build this bridge together. The fact that he was willing to play this for me, knowing I don't like substance abuse, knowing I don't like anything the guy is talking about, knowing I couldn't understand 3/4 of the song, the fact that he opened up says a lot about trust. And this was on the first session. yo, check out this song. I know you love hip-hop like I do. He loves NF, but he's like, yo, check out this one. That says something about your therapeutic relationship just in and of itself. So sometimes we go in looking for one thing, but we got so many other things that we weren't really looking for is what I'm saying, I guess. So I encourage you with it. Make sense? Check out, great question, and thank you for that one. Let's check out How Could You Leave Us? This is a really, really good song that is rough and it will make you, and if you cry, that's okay. I won't tell nobody. Well, I will tell people, but I won't make fun of you at least.
How could you leave so unexpected? We waited for you, but you just left us. We needed you, I needed you. Yo, I don't know what it's like to be addicted to pills, but I do know what it's like to be a witness that kills. Mama told me she loved me, I'm thinking this isn't real. I think of you when I get a whiff of that cigarette smell, yeah. Welcome to the bottom of hell. They say pain is a prison. Let me out of my cell. You say you proud of me, but you don't know me that well. Sit in my room, tears running down my face, and I yell into my pillowcases. Say you coming to get us, then call a minute later just to tell us you're not. I'm humiliated. I'm in a room with a parent that I don't barely know. Some lady in the corner watching us while she's taking notes. I don't get it, Mom. Don't you wanna watch your babies grow? I guess pills are more important. All you have to say is no, but you won't do it, will you? You gon' keep popping till them pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? I got this picture in my room and it kills me, but I don't need a picture of my mom, I need the real thing. Now a relationship is something we won't ever have, but why do I feel like I lost something that I never had? You should have been there when I graduated, told me you love me and congratulations. Instead you left us at the window waiting. Where you at, Mom? We're too young to understand. Where you at, huh? Yeah, I know them drugs that got you held captive. I can see it in your eyes, they got your mind captured. Some say it's fun to get the high, but I am not laughing. And what you don't realize and what you're not grasping, that I was nothing but a kid who couldn't understand it. I ain't gonna say that I forgive you cause it hasn't happened. I thought that maybe I'd feel better as time passes. If you really cared for me, then where you at then? Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Our last conversation, you and I sat in the living room talking about my music, and I brought you something to listen to. You started crying, telling me this isn't you. A couple weeks later, guess you were singing a different tune. You took them pills for the last time, didn't you? They took you from us once, I guess they came back to finish you. Crying my eyes out in the studio is difficult. Music is the only place that I can go to speak to you. It took everything inside of me not to scream at your funeral. Sitting in my chair, that person talking was pitiful. I wish you were here, Mama, but every time I picture you, all I feel is pain. I hate the way I remember you. They found you on the floor. I could tell you felt hollow. Gave everything you had, plus your life to them pill bottles. You gave everything you had, plus your life to them pill bottles. Don't know if you hear me or not, but if you're still watching, why? Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Sometimes I think about sometimes I think about things like, you know, when I have kids and like, won't be there, you know? You won't be there for any of that. I'll never get to see you again. Sometimes I wish I would have just called you. I wish I would have just picked up the phone. I wish you were here. I mean, you should have been there for us. You should have been here. Bill's got you right. And Bill's got you right. I wish you were here.
That's exactly what you got to do. You got to let out a sigh after that one, right? For those who never thought hip-hop could be that real and that intense, you talk about intensity, right, before? I mean, my mom wasn't an addict, and I was crying on the way to work. That album dropped, and I listened to that, and I was like, oh, my gosh, right? What are your thoughts, good, bad, or other?
It's good.
You said it's good?
Because
You're like my Steve Harvey, like everything.
no, it's good because the way I related to the song is if you have a child and their parents was an addict and now they're falling on that same trait, listen to that song, Turn Around, Don't Drown, that type of theory.
Yep.
So that's what I picked up from the song.
I love it. Yeah.
I know you do.
I work in an elementary school. I do a lot of SEL with them, and I'm finding that we have a lot of motherless boys and girls out there, whether they're really present in the home or not, severing that umbilical cord too early, and so a lot of anger in these young kids, and fatherless, but the motherless part of it is really difficult.
Being able to validate that anger, validate, like, look, this just sucks. Like, it's okay to say that. Yeah.
I deal with clients, and a lot of times they don't have relationships with their families because of their addiction. And sometimes listening to something like that, they can hear how their addiction has affected their sister, brother, or their kids. And they can see the detriment that their addiction will cause.
Absolutely. I played this I was in Chesapeake Jail doing groups there and played it for a group of women I was working through substance abuse stuff. And I mean, forget it. It was like a punch in the gut. And they were like, man, the fact that you put that in song form, like we already knew, but we kind of, you try to downplay what your drug use has done and this and that. But no, I need you to hear it from somebody who was on the receiving end, right? And just kind of understand that this is for real. Yeah.
This may be a little different. I understand what is being said here and what it could do for someone listening to it in therapy. I'm wondering if you ever do this kind of thing in a group like this, that you worry about, you talk about we're all in the same boat, that you worry about triggering people who don't have a chance to process.
100%. I do. That's a great question. I don't know. I'll give you kind of inside scoop on me. The reason I like to walk around just to keep everybody engaged, but I also want to see the visceral sort of responses to some of the songs that we're listening to. I know, again, like if we're really real, if we're going to do a real sort of thing at 10:45 and say, look, we've been through some things ourselves, and that's why a lot of us got into this. And I know that sometimes we don't feel like we have an outlet ourselves, and so I know that. This is why I give my contact information and say, look, talk to me. Talk to me. Like, I don't need to get paid for everything I do. Like, I'm a real person like you. I got an hour drive home. I told you I got an hour drive home. I got to listen to a song. Give me a call. Like, it's okay. Like, go to somebody. But understand that there's a voice and an outlet for you, too. And it's okay to be real about yourself. Right? It's okay to be real about what you're going through. So, yes, I think that's a very, very real thing. And I've never had, knock on wood, and you probably just jinxed me, never had anybody have such a bad reaction to any of the songs I played. But again, this may be some of your background. This may be some of your story when we talk about depression and drug use, anxiety, those sort of things. Absolutely. Absolutely. I told you, and I was very honest with me, why I cried. Like, I mean, I was going through some things. Be real about where you're at. Don't use this if you're not able to kind of work through it and be about the client and their work. Don't say, hey, this was real good, it makes me cry every time, and now you guys are sitting there hugging it out. Right? And like, take it easy, okay? Work through it yourself, but maybe this will help you. And maybe for once, we get to be real clinicians. I'm tired of that image that we have to sort of box it up and we can't be ourselves. I'm going to tell you, I'm myself. And you may not like it, and that's okay. We don't have to be friends. It's okay. But I know who I am, and I know what I'm meant to do, so I'm going to do that. Jam Master Jay, I'll tell you, is a guy I worked with probation. He was on probation doing drug groups. Local MC that loved to just kind of, he was trying to figure out whether he wanted to be more of a Christian rapper or, yeah. Yeah.
You know, just within like a group setting.
You're going to have to speak up, though, because they can't hear you.
I know, really, really low. Sorry, guys. I was saying just basically, even kind of in response to the question, I wasn't going to comment initially, but I decided to go ahead and comment. To see something like this, or to even to hear the lyrics, even as a person who maybe has had like similar experiences in the past, one of the things that I can say that it does for me personally is to, you know, kind of tap back into reality, like he was saying, but also to remind you of that place or that thing or that situation that got you started in the first place. When I was listening to the lyrics to this, all I could think about was that instrumental moment, you know, as a child, you know, who had parents that suffered with addiction. Hearing somebody explain to me that, you know, that addiction is stronger than that person's emotions was something that helped me heal, and it was something that made me decide, you know, for my personal life, this is what I want to do. I want to be that example to say, okay, this is what your situation is, but this is not who you are. And so, you know, I think that it's beautiful, it's amazing, and especially amongst us, it's good for us to deal with some of our realistic situations, or even, you know, the sign of, I guess, even to use the word, being triggered by it. It allows you to kind of tap back into reality and say, hey, maybe I need to address this thing. Maybe I need to address this issue, you know. And I mean, I get the question and the understanding as far as the response of maybe like your day-to-day client. You get an opportunity to see where they are with things. But as far as us, especially as professional, I think it's important for us to come face to face with some of our issues, to come face to face with some of our own personal things. And more than anything, it's always instrumental for us to return back to that moment or to that thing that allowed us to get here in the first place. Not everybody is in this field because we're perfect. Some of us, we had somebody to, you know, show us a positive example, or we had a guidance counselor like myself, you know, or we had a professor in college, or whatever the situation was that made me feel like, hey, I want to be a role model to the next generation. I want to do something different for somebody else who may be in my shoes that comes behind me.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. That's very real. I really appreciate that. No doubt. This is why I love presenting. This is so much fun. Jam Master Jay, I'll tell you real quick, was a guy, he was in probation work. He finished, I was leaving the agency, and he was graduating program right at the same time at this agency. He knows I love to rhyme. He loved to rhyme. And he had this sort of dilemma, this sort of DMX dilemma of, do I go street and raw, or do I go kind of Christian? God is calling me certain things. And so for his last session, I've just put instrumentals on, and we just spit back and forth. Just one verse, one verse, one verse, one verse. No, I didn't agree some of his, but we would just match verse for verse. And he's like, bro, you still got it. And this kid is like 20, early 30s, maybe late 20s. And he was like, yo, you respect. You know, I'm 42 years old. I'm not coming out with an album anytime soon. I got more gray hair than a little bit, right? But there was respect there. And I had a LCSW, young, you know, soon to be. She was a little bit too big for her britches. And she reported me to my boss and said, I'm not doing anything therapeutic, that all we do is listen to music and rap during group. And she had the cojones, I'll say it in another language because it's not cursing if you say it in another language, to kind of say, you don't do therapy. You weren't doing therapy. You guys were just having fun. This work, no matter how intense, is still fun. I love what I do. And that is therapeutic. And she missed the mark. She'll know. She'll figure it out. She'll look for me. She'll be sitting in one of my trainings. I'm positive of it. I'm guaranteeing you she will. And she'll eat those words. But that's what keeps me going. Suicide, 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. There's one death by suicide in every 13 minutes. Man, this is crazy. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-old Americans, right? We talked about Biggie earlier. It's a really good song. It's hard, but it's good to listen to. That song, KB, Calling You, is a song about suicide. His friend that tried to commit suicide, and was in the military and had a lot of the military sort of PTSD stuff that was going through his head. And while he's away and overseas, his family falls apart. And so he's carrying that. So yes, we can use this in the military setting. Yes, we can use this in a lot of different ways. Let's look at Flawless. I know that I'm running out of time. Y'all want a song, or you want me to keep talking? I'll leave it up to you. What do you say? Keep talking? All right. Check out Flawless, Real Talk. I like this dude. He was on a Netflix series, but he came out with this song talking about suicide with his neighbor. He didn't even know she was getting molested and all that, and killed herself. I mean, it's real stuff. This is a regular artist, right? But I want you to just kind of journey through the story that is somebody's reality and understand that. Abortion, 21% of all U.S. pregnancies end in abortion. I don't care what your feelings is one way or the other. It's a real thing, right? And our clients are facing it. Put yourself aside for a minute and just look at the realities of it. J. Cole, before he became J. Cole, right, came out with Lost Ones. You guys remember this song? Anybody know this song? Great song, right? Just classic, and just talking about the reality that is being faced with a pregnancy, saying, nah, I ain't never going to be like my absentee dad, like my deadbeat dad. And now you're faced with this reality and looking at abortion, right? This is a real song, and a lot of kids don't know this song. So when we're talking about the current stuff, be like, yo, y'all know who J. Cole is. Let me introduce you to something early of his. And they're like, yo, he wrote this? Yeah, let's talk for real. Because all your little kids, if you got teenage clients like I do that want to hit everything that moves, right? And they don't think that condoms are for them or anything else, and they ain't never going to be like their daddy, but she better not come to me, and they have this sort of dilemma that they experience. Let me go ahead and let you listen to this for a minute and see the realities of it. That's how we use this for real. Family and fatherhood, and the issue of fatherlessness in America is difficult. 24 million children in America, 1 out of every 3 lives with a biological father absent home. 1 out of 3 kids. These are current stats. I had to update this from the first time I did this years ago. These are current. This is crazy. 55% of all black children, 31% of all Hispanic, 20% of all white children. God, that says a lot about our own communities. It sucks, don't it? I mean, this is real, right? And a lot of times we're faced, if we're males in this field, of being a father figure to a lot of our clients, even if they're adult clients, because they came to you for wisdom, and they ain't had that wisdom coming up, right? So you have a couple songs there that just talk about that fatherlessness. Tupac's song, Papa's song, classic song. Talking about the swinging door that was his mom's house, and how every man that came through was Uncle somebody, right? And then dad writing from prison and talking about, son, I didn't mean for it to happen. And we hear this so many times, right? You want to see a heart somewhere? Look at Tupac's song there. And then KB's song, Fall in Love with You, just is, again, a hip-hop song that's talking about the joy that is about being involved in your children's lives from a father's perspective. And so being able to give that comparison, if you're working with fatherless homes or you're working with dads that aren't involved. Grief and loss is a big issue there, and we see life expectancy is 78.93 years. I feel like I'm getting closer every day. It's rough. I feel it. 2.5 million people die in the United States annually, right? And grief and loss is a real thing that we face, whether it's premature or not. We lost a dog a couple of weeks ago, man. I'm still going through it. Real talk. Like I'm hurting. And Whit Lowry has a song there about Last Letter. He talks about loss to cancer. And so we look at real life issues like cancer, and he see this letter that he wrote to his mom that he was losing to cancer. Right? And so when we find these settings that we're like, no, we can't find a song that speaks to that, I'm telling you that there's a song out there. You got to do the research, be willing to be open to different things. So I'm going to give you as many different ones as possible. Abuse is huge. Report of child abuse made every 10 seconds. This almost makes me physically ill. About 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday, right? And we see some of the issues that we're facing with the trauma of our clients, our adults imprisoned or not, acute stress, right? And we see 2 songs here, or 3 songs really, because there's Secrets 1 and 2 for Jason. One talks about his wife's experience with sexual abuse from her eyes. And so she talks about how it was being the victim of that. And then in verse 2 talks about his response to his wife going through it. Man, you want to talk about real. When you have somebody and you're watching somebody walk through something as difficult as sexual abuse, and you have to watch them work through the process and how real it is. Do you have a question?
Especially with this, I think about the song that you use, a lot of it is very powerful. Have you ever used Joe Budden's 3 Sides to a Story?
Not 3 Sides. I've used another Joe Budden song, but I'll write that one down later. Remind me of that one. Is that about abuse as well? Gotcha. Bet. I appreciate that. Mansion, again from NF, just talks about the mental thinking, about the different issues that we face, and the mansion that exists in your head of all these rooms that you try to really squirrel away. And the last room that he has is up there, he calls it a safe room. And fear is locked up in there. And sometimes fear drives most of what we do, but we locked it in there and we let him in, but now we can't get him out. And so how fear dictates all these other decisions that we make. Great song. Education Propaganda has a spoken word talking about Dear Board of Education. If you have teacher friends, they might hate it. Sorry. But it's real, too, because you talk about the educational process. So I'm just trying to highlight different topics and issues that you can see going through this. Theology, Hobson's Illmind 7 is great in this challenging sort of view of what does theology look like for somebody who's walking in this life, this real world, but also has a faith component. It may not be Christian, but I believe there's a higher power, right? And we talk about 12 steps, we talk about higher powers. There's a confusion there. There's some mixed emotions there. Same with Derek Miner's Dear Mr. Christian, and talking about how a lot of Christians will say, well, God will heal it. God has intentions for it, but I'm going through some real stuff. And these are Christian artists. Like Derek Miner's a Christian artist and talking about that. So don't be afraid to challenge some of these sort of generic thinking and really go in. We have to listen to our success song. I know I flew through some. There was a YouTube video you have the link to, just talking, a TED Talk on hip-hop therapy. I highly encourage you to watch it. It's about 5 or 7 minutes. It's really cool. But I want to finish with KB, and I believe, because I think that we also want to talk about success. And we want to be able to celebrate with our clients. I'm very impressed with this group because nobody's gotten up to dance yet, which is interesting. I'm not encouraging you to do it now. And if you can't dance, please sit down. But just joking, just joking. But let's celebrate. If you are a soccer fan, you'll know this chant, and you can kind of incorporate it into your world.
K to the second letter. Oh yeah. Let me take it there. Please brag on what you did. How you smash your first week sales. And then like your numbers make vaccines that heal weak cells. You brag when your money go somewhere besides yourself. Oh yeah. Let's get it. I'm going with our voice. Where they got them bullets flying like it's PowerPoint. And then I'm going down to Hotco. We get chances of making it out of Flocko. I'm with the Southside kids that I reach age. And then head for the keys like spring break. Cause I believe that we intervene when the needs great. And go and beat change. Let me talk about it. I get it poppin', you probably got a partner. Before they can stop me, gotta cut my power like I'm Amish. Hold the torch up high in the dick dark. The dream works no matter how bad the pics are. Cause I see how bad the globe is. But they don't know how bad our hope is. They don't know how bad we want this. Then ain't where we at, boys, where we going.
You know you want to stand. I'm going to just tease you with that one verse because I want to be respectful of your time. But don't tell me you weren't sitting there talking about, I believe that we will. I don't care what your day is going on. When your client does something good, man, throw it on. Let your neighbors be mad. I believe that we will, right? They'll get over it, right? But at least we get to champion some of the successes and the wins that they have, right? Don't do this. Please don't do this. Yes, fat is spelled 2 different ways, but please don't do that. Please do not be P-H-A-T fat, right? So what's the goal? Meet them where they are. Juicy J's story was the kind I was telling you that gave me that murder song, right? And this was on the first verse, or the first visit, right? But identify something that you can do with them. I hate rap. Then don't front. You don't have to like rap at the end of this presentation. You can still hate it. It's okay. But stay true to who you are. The one thing about hip-hop culture is that we talk about being real. Right? So be real. I don't like that. I don't know what you said. My biggest fan base for when I rap at church sometimes, and my funniest thing, because my biggest fan base is 70 to 80-year-old white men and women. They come up to me crying, Casalo, that was so beautiful what you said. I don't have a clue what you said. But I read the lyrics on the screen, and it was it just touched my heart. Please come out with another song soon. And I'm like, wow. It's hilarious. It's like David Hasselhoff in Europe. Like, this is a great following. It's crazy, right? You don't have to front. And don't hate, but appreciate that there's a voice for it, okay? Don't be that guy and be shrink wrapping, okay? So where do you go from here? Identify 1 or 2 clients. Use this as a seamless sort of thing. I told you about a playlist already, right? Process what they feel during it, good, bad, or other. It's okay if they don't like it. What emotions did they feel? And then out of that, build this sort of playlist with your clients. Research. Use it as an icebreaker in your session. Maybe it's the beginning. Maybe it's a reward in your session. Maybe it's being able to kind of wrap up your session. You figure out how you use this, all right? But it's up to you. Be creative. To use the 4 elements, make a list, have them trade song for song, combine verses of songs, identify instrumentals you could play in the background. Roxanne Shante, she's like, just give me a song for this, give me a song for that. She always comes in and asks me for a song right away. We have to have a song every session we meet, and we meet weekly, so it's hilarious. I wouldn't, no, not the real Roxanne Shante. We ain't talking about the real Roxanne either, you know, no. Graffiti-wise, right? Have your practice or have your play set up a spray chalk area, right, or a whiteboard. Go pound for pound, lyric for lyric. Maybe you write a line and they write a line. Maybe that's how you communicate in your session. And you're going to take them somewhere, but you want them to voice something based on what your head is going, right? Maybe it tells a story. Display their artwork. Feel free to break dance with them. That's fun. Encourage them to get up and move. Shadow box. I have a heavy bag in my office. Maybe I put a song on and you just wear out the bag. That's fine. I told you I'm going to break the rules, right? Logic's story is interesting, right? When we talk about MCing, this was probably 15 years ago. I'm practicing and I was with a CSB and he comes in for an assessment and we talk about hip hop and he's like, well, I rhyme. I said, bet. I said, let me hear something. Little white boy, probably 17, 16 years old, and it's 8 in the morning. This dude went in, and I mean went in, and I was like, yo, and loud. My office was probably the size of that doorway right there. And they knew what I like to do, and they're knocking on the door. Can you please tell them to keep it down? Like, we have other clients. I'm like, look, it's 8 in the morning, and this 17-year-old is spitting a verse to me about his life. I ain't saying jack. Y'all can fire me if you want to. But it's 8 in the morning. You got a 17-year-old kid who's sharing his heart. On the first day, on the assessment, at a CSB. So it's like, he didn't even want to be there. Come on, man. You can't tell me this isn't accurate and this doesn't work. So use this. I challenge you to do it. Who has the pink papers that I gave you? I want to see how my MCs are. If I gave you a piece of paper, pink, purple, or green, whoops, sorry. I'm going to collect them real quick and see what I've got because some of you guys don't think that you can rhyme. Did I give any other papers over here, I think? Thank you, thank you. And I want to put them together just to show you the effectiveness of hip hop. I know I owe you extra time. So next time you come to one of my other sessions, I'll let you out early. Is that fair? Thank you. Thank you. But I want to show you guys that collectively, even not knowing each other, you guys come up with a rhyme yourself. And this is just a little gimmicky BS rhyme that I put together just for the sake of presentation. You guys don't know each other, but I took them and I put them in order, 5 parts to it. And it says this. Let me read this one. Through this life of mine, I try to find how to find peace in my mind. Searching high and low, sometimes I never know where my mind will go. So I'm ready to fight using my strength and my might. I'm going to make it happen tonight. Being able to get out of my way and my space may be tight. I'll take some bumps on the ride. I'll never run, I won't hide. I'll stand tall, strong, wide. As long as he'll still be by my side. You see, my story's not done. I've got my future to come. I'm no longer going to run. That's you guys. I didn't write that. This is the power of a group, a dynamic. You want to know how to use this in a group? Just challenge them to it. Let me give you one more. Through this life of mine, I try to find the missing pieces of my mind. Searching high and low, sometimes I never know how my life may go. So I'm ready to fight using my strength and my might. My love for you, it will take flight. I'll take some bumps in the ride. I'll never run, I won't hide. I will survive. You see, my story's not done. I've got my future to come. I'm far from a bum. That's you guys. You see what I'm saying? That wasn't me. You think you can't use this, and I'm showing you in 30 seconds how you use this. Be challenged by this and be encouraged by this and try to find a way that this works for you in your setting. But don't be afraid of it. Ask for questions, right? Ask for help. But know that you got this. You have that rhyme in your presentation there, but come up with your own. Thoughts, questions, feedback? I appreciate you guys. Thank you for staying extra. Please know and understand, in the wise words of Nas, and you'll see it in there, hip-hop is not dead. Have a great day. Enjoy your time. I'll be here for a little while longer. Take care, guys.